Good evening, Patriots. Welcome to the weekend, or the end of the weekend. It's Sunday. But look, you had many places you could tune in tonight. You chose to tune in here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. This is a special edition of the Douglas Ducote Show, because normally we're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central. But there is so much that has happened in the past several days that I find it of utmost importance to share with you, the American patriots of this country, as well as patriots all across the globe, about what we are currently dealing with when it comes to the standoff with the state of Texas and the Biden administration. The purpose of tonight's special report is really directed at the left and the Democrats and the liberals to show you proof positive 100%. When this show is over with tonight, you will know hands down that Joe Biden and his administration are blatant, pathetic liars. And they are lying about the situation with the border patrol, with the National Guard, with what Governor Abbott is currently doing. I'm going to prove to you, using their own words from this past Friday, just 2 days ago, at the press briefing, their blatant lies. And I hope that you will subscribe to this channel and share this when it becomes a regular video with all your friends and family. So if there are any questions about who's telling the truth about our southern border, those answers will be right here in this video. Now, before I get into that, for those of you that have been watching my show for years, you know that I've gone to the border several times, reported live from there. I've also done several different documentaries, which can be found at douglasducote.com. We are gearing back up to go to the border again. The plan is to be down there this week, at the latest next week, to report live and show you what is happening on that border. We will be there to bring that to you, the American patriots of this country that cannot be down there. That being said, just like the last times that we went to the border, this requires financing. Not a single penny is brought into me or those involved with our border trips personally. It all goes into financing the trip. We have security, we have camera personnel, we have to pay for transportation, room and board, and food while we're down there. So, as in the past, those of you that have been able to donate to help with these projects, we thank you. If you're able to do it again, much appreciated. Again, not a single penny goes to any of us involved with this reporting from the border. Unlike the big national media outlets, we do not have the mega bucks and the funding to do what we do. And we're doing it for you, the American patriots of this country, so you can see firsthand exactly what is happening down there. So please go to douglasducote.com, or in the description of this video or the description of any of my videos, there is a donation link where you can send a donation. Any amount helps, and all of it will go 100% to funding the border trip. Anything left over, as you all know that have been following this show for years, is donated to veterans organizations that I have personally vetted. Okay, all that being said, I want to share with you what took place on Friday at the White House press briefing. Now, when I share this with you, I want you to not engage your brain too heavy into it, because if you do, blood will start shooting out of your ears and your nose and your eyes, because your blood pressure will skyrocket. It is absolutely amazing how this administration can stare into a camera and be pathetic, blatant liars to the American people. And we're going to prove it with their own words. First, what is a White House press briefing and what is a White House press secretary? The White House press secretary is a senior White House official whose primary responsibility is to act as a spokesperson for the executive branch of the United States federal government, especially with regards to the president, senior aides, and executives, as well as government policies. The press secretary is responsible for collecting information about actions and events within the president's administration and issuing the administration's reactions to developments around the world. The press secretary interacts with the media and the White House press corps on a daily basis, generally in what we call a daily press briefing. The press secretary serves by the appointment and at the pleasure of the President of the United States. The office does not require advance and consent of the United States Senate. However, because of the frequent briefings given to the global media, who in turn inform the public, the position is a prominent non-cabinet post. Basically, to sum that up, the press secretary speaks on behalf of the President of the United States and every single member of the administration. The current White House press secretary, as many of you know, is Karine Jean-Pierre, which we'll refer to tonight by her first name, Karine. This past Friday, 2 days ago, January 6, 2024, White House press briefing was held by the press secretary, Karine, and the NSC coordinator for strategic communications, John Kirby. I'm going to read to you just the part of the press briefing that dealt with the border throughout the press briefing. The press briefing is an hour long. We're not going to go through all that. Just the parts that are dealing with the border, word for word, to share with you so you know 100% they're liars. The first reporter asked, who does the White House vet? Because we know that people coming across the southern border are not vetted. Now we know that people that are getting hundreds of millions of dollars of U.S. money are not being vetted. So, who do you guys check out? Kirby took this first question and he said, it's not like we don't have a process at the border, and there is a challenging there. And the president doesn't want to get more Border Patrol agents. But this idea that just there's no vetting and there's no proper immigration and enforcement going on at the border just does not comport with reality. Really? The border process is broken. There is no reliable vetting process in place. And John Kirby, you, sir, are a lying son of a bitch. The next reporter, does the president have any response to at least 25 Republican governors signing a joint statement supporting Texas in its standoff with the U.S. at the border? Karine took this question and she said, I would like to say to them that if they truly want to help with the issue at the border, with the immigration system, that they need to talk with their congressional members, the senators in their state. That's what they need to do. They need to ask them to make sure that they have the resources that they need within their representative states to take action, to actually deal with a broken system. The way that we deal with this is legislatively. The way that we deal with this is for Congress to act. And so that's what those 25 Republican governors need to do. If they really want to help, if they really want to assist, if they really want to see change with the immigration system, if they really want to fix the changes that we see at the border, then they should talk to their senators and their congressmen and congresswomen who are in their states. That's how we get this going. Really? What in the name of bullshit artists did you mean by that, Kareem? They've been holding meetings and talking with each of these senators every damn week for the past 3 years, you bird nest hairdo freak. Next reporter. How concerned is President Biden about Trump weighing in on these border negotiations, especially considering how much influence he has over the Republican Party? Does he think it's appropriate? Gene took that question too, or Kareem. Look, that's for the Republican Party to speak to. Seriously. I mean, I want to be really mindful because that's candidate Trump speaking, right? So I have to be careful. That's upcoming elections. As you hear me say as often as I can, got to be careful as a federal employee. There's something called the Hatch Act, as you all know. So don't want to comment specifically on him. But look, there is a real issue, a real challenge at the border. There truly is. The president understands that. The president has said that himself. And we know that the immigration system is broken, and it has been for decades now. We want to get it that done. We want to fix that. We want to take steps to get to a place where we can deal with the issue at hand. And that's why we put forth on this first day in office a comprehensive immigration policy. The president is taking this very seriously. He's taking this very seriously on behalf of the American people. Really, Kareem? If the president was taking the border crisis seriously, he would fire his Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, who is more politically correct than a Boy Scout leader who thinks it's okay for Girl Scouts to identify as a boy and join the Boy Scouts. If the president was taking the border crisis seriously, he would have not removed the Remain in Mexico policy that Trump had put into place. If the president was serious about the border crisis, he would authorize the wall to be built. If the president was serious about the border crisis, he would not allow his Department of Justice to keep filing lawsuit after lawsuit against the state of Texas. But he's not serious about the border. Not a single person in his administration gives two shits about the border. And the same goes for the Democrat members of the House and the Senate. Next reporter. In terms of what's happening now, is the president concerned that politics is getting in the way, given the circumstances here? What he is just saying about what Speaker Johnson had said, how can there still be optimism that this can move forward? Karine said, there's optimism because we have seen in a Senate of Republicans and Democrats coming together in a bipartisan way to find an agreement. That is optimism. This has been happening for the past couple of weeks, a couple of months now. There's a difference in a couple of weeks and a couple of months, just throwing that out there. And we feel that that is optimism and what it looks like. You know, both folks from both sides of the aisle coming together and having those negotiation conversations on real ways to fix the problem, to fix the broken immigration system. So, yeah, I think that's, as you know, you all see this in a way that politics is today. The fact that we've seen that in the Senate, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I already said, House has to make a decision. They have to make a decision. House Republicans have to make a decision if they want to see or be part of the solution or part of the problem. Really, Kareem? Really? This is a Republican issue to you and this administration? In your pea brain, Republicans are blocking the fix here? Did you just wake up from under a transsexual clown on meth? Well, actually, I already know the answer to that question. And sorry to the transsexual clown for calling you out on this mess. And Karine, sweetheart, the major problem is not the broken immigration system that you guys keep repeating over and over and over again like a broken record. It's not broken at all. It's the fact that the Biden administration is not enforcing the Department of Justice and Homeland Security to enforce the current laws on immigration that's already on the books and has been there for decades. Enforce the current laws on the books, and presto, like magic, the problem is fixed. Enforce the laws already on the books dealing with any and all border issues, and the problem is fixed immediately. Next reporter, House Republicans said they would move forward next week with impeaching Homeland Security Secretary. Given these strong differences of opinion on the border, how realistic is it that there is a deal that can even be passed? And that would pass in the Senate and the House at this point. Karine was happy to respond to that. House Republicans have to make a decision here. They have to make a decision on if they want to be part of the solution or part of the problem. That's on them. That's on them. I'll say one thing about the impeachment of Mayorkas, or the process of impeaching Mayorkas. It's shameful. It is shameful. That's how they want to use their time to, wasteful time to try and impeach him. I think it's shameful. And what they should do, which is the premise of the question, is work with us. Work with Democrats. Work with Republicans. Work with the senators who are actually trying to do something to fix and find a solution. Oh, Karine, off the subject, yet it kind of falls in line with your no merit answer. Do you cook and eat the eggs from that nappy-headed bird nest on top of your head? Hands down, you are the dumbest person in Washington, D.C. You are just a babbling fool like your boss that is 100% clueless about the border or hell, even how to run a country. The next reporter. Does the White House believe that House Republicans are intentionally dragging out the negotiations until after the election? Karine says, looking perplexed by the question, says you're talking about House Republicans and which negotiations? Reporter, yes, I'm talking about the border and border security. Karine says, they're not even? Reporter, looking more dumbfounded, says that they want them to drag it out until the election. Is that what they mean? Karine, drag what? Reporter, drag the border issue out until after the election. Karine, at this point, becomes a parrot that once laid eggs in her hair and says, look, they have a choice to make. The negotiations right here now are happening in the Senate. They're working towards a bipartisan agreement. And we appreciate that. They've been happening in good faith. We think it's heading in the right direction. They've been working it for the past couple of weeks, past couple of months now. And so we think it's important. House Republicans have a decision to make. They do. They have a decision to make. Karine, oh, Karine, For the love of all things holy, it's time, dear. It's actually past time for you to just call it quits and walk away from this job before your brain starts short-circuiting and your bird nest hairdo catches on fire. Reporter, does the administration think Texas is failing to comply with court orders around the placement and removal of razor wire? Kareen, well, look, the Supreme Court is the highest, law, court in the land. It is. And they made a ruling. And, on Tuesday, as you guys probably saw, Department of Homeland Security sent a letter outlining the access Border Patrol needs at Shelby Park. For example, to do their jobs and demanding Texas confirm this access will be honored. Border Patrol needs to have access in order to do their jobs. They just do. And what we're seeing from Governor Abbott, you've heard me say this over and over again, they're making it harder. They're making it harder. He's making it harder for Border Patrol to do their jobs. They need access to the border. They need access. And right now, they don't have that. And it's under the Constitution of the United States. A federal law. This is the supreme law of the land. And any conflicting state is preempt. That's the law. Reporter, so you think they're failing to comply with the court orders? Kareen, it's the law. It's literally the law. It's the law. And we are what? We want the Border Patrol to be able to do their job. And right now, Governor Abbott is getting in the way. And you saw it. You see it. DHS sent a letter on this. I would prefer you to the letter to what they wrote. Reporter, is DHS still working to work with the Texas National Guard? Kareen, look, Department of Homeland Security wants the Border Patrol agents to have access to the border. They want them to be able to do their job so they can follow the law in order when the Border Patrol is trying to have access to that area, they're actually trying to enforce the law. That's what they're trying to do. And Governor Abbott is getting in the way of that. And so they're trying to do their job, enforce the law, and make sure that, they're able to do so, to do what they are meant to be doing as border agents. Reporter, so you're communicating with the Texas National Guard? They're communicating with Texas National Guard? Kareen, I would refer you to the Department of Homeland Security on communication. I'm not tracking every communication that they're having. What I'm saying more broadly, which is true, which is Border Patrol needs to be able to do their job, and they're getting in the way of that. Reporter, former President Trump yesterday said that he was encouraging all states to send their National Guard troops to the border to help Texas and to move migrants back across the border. Do you have any response to this effort to have states take on federal immigration policies? Kareen, so look, I'm pretty clear about, these states. If they really want to help and assist, if they want to help get more resources to deal with the border, the challenges at the border, they should be calling on their senators and representatives to join the administration and working a bipartisan agreement to get that done. That's our message. That's what we'll tell all the governors, the Republican governors, obviously, in particular. Look, Border Patrol they need resources. They need to be able to have these resources to do their job. The immigration system has been broken for decades. You hear me saying this over and over again. Not just me, it's the truth. It's a fact. And so, in order to deal with this, we need policy change. We need funding and resources. So that's what we will tell them. We would tell these governors, Republican governors, to talk to the representatives, calling them to take action, Reporter, can you speak to President Biden's relationship with Governor Abbott? I know there's been a lot of back and forth. There are court cases. How is that relationship? And what can you say about it? Kareen, well, they're had opportunities to meet a couple of times. The president has been in Texas. You've seen it for themselves, for yourselves, how they have engaged with one another. And, we've been very, not shy away from calling out what we see as political games for the governor because it's not safe. It's not safe, and it's not protecting our communities. It's not. It just doesn't help the Border Patrol do their job. So we're continuing to call that out. That's going to hold us back. But the president, he's a president for all Americans. It's not about the governor of Texas. It's about the people of Texas. Because you hear me say this, and he has said this, his governor, he's a governor he's a president, for red states, blue states, and that's who he cares about. He cares about the people of Texas and the American people more broadly across the country. Reporter, in the letter that you mentioned that Department of Homeland Security sent to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, they asked, Texas gives CBP full access to Shelby Park by today. As of, a couple of hours ago, about an hour or two ago, Texas National Guard had taken down the razor wire. They still had these barriers up, I guess. Is the president concerned that, Texas doesn't seem to be backing down or listening to the letter the Department of Homeland Security sent? And I guess, would it? How does the administration plan to respond if they don't, give Department of Homeland Security access? Karine. So I'm going to let Department of Homeland Security speak to how they're going to respond, obviously. Department of Justice speaks on how they're going to respond. What I will say, it's shameful. It's shameful that politics is being played here. Political stunts are being done here as we're trying to deal with an issue that Americans really care about, right? And all we are asking for is Border Patrol to have access to the border so they can enforce the law. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to actually do their job to enforce the law. That's what Border Patrol agents are meant to do. And that's what they're trying to do. And you have politics being played. And you have a governor getting in the way of that. And so it is shameful that we continue to have these political stunts. And we continue to see these political games. It is not safe. It does not help solve the problem. It does not help solve the problem. Reporter, Karine, I had a question on the border. With the president's emergency asked, he asked Congress for more money to hire more Border Patrol agents, to hire more officers, to vet people who want to come across to make sure they have legitimate claims. Should the American people be prepared for a situation on the border to get worse if that money is not approved? Bird brain Karine. So look, I'm not going to get into, read the future of how things are going to turn out. What I can speak to is what they're trying to do right now to deal with the challenges, to deal with the broken system, the immigration system. That's what I can speak to. What I can speak to is what the president has asked for. You just laid out. He asked for more border agents. Obviously, he's asking for 2,000 to hire 2,000 more border agents and law enforcement officers, install new drug detection and technology to stop fentanyl from coming into the country, going into communities, hire more immigration judges and asylum officers. That's what he has. That's his plan. That's what he's asked for. That's what he wants to see. Now we're having a very important conversation with the Senate Republicans and Democrats. We appreciate that. We think Congress must act. They need to act. And that's how we're going to deal with this issue. If you think about it this way, 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago, this president, on his first day, put forward a comprehensive immigration legislation to put it forward to Congress. If Congress had taken action 3 years ago, if they had taken action working towards that, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't. But now we've had these conversations, and hopefully we can get to a bipartisan agreement. Reporter, and may I add, the dumbest reporter to ever cover the White House in history, this guy, his name was Andrew, is the last one to ask a question. And he said, On the subject of the border and the Texas National Guard, I understand, you want to refer some of these questions to Department of Homeland Security because Department of Homeland Security, controls the border. But at a certain point, Texas Guard, Texas National Guard soldiers, and National Guard soldiers from other states are being used to frustrate federal authorities. They're being used to get in the way of federal immigration enforcement and to flaunt a court order from a federal court. At what point does the president step in and say, enough of that? These are American soldiers, and I'm federalizing the National Guard and ordering them to let the Border Patrol do their job because they took an oath to the Constitution, and I'm their commander-in-chief. When does that happen, Kareem? When does that become enough is enough? Kareem. So I'll say this. I'm not going to speculate on any actions the president could use. I'm just not going to do that. It's very clear. I would remind everyone that the circumstances under the federal government can mobilize the state's National Guard are outlined by law, right? So that I'll leave that there. But I just not going to get into speculations on any action the president is going to take at any time. And I'm going to reiterate that these Republican governors actually cared about doing something to deal with the challenges at the border and doing something real, meaningful action, right, to deal with the immigration system that's been broken for decades under Democrats, under Republicans, not just this president, then they'd reach out to the representatives, their congressional representatives, their senators and congressmen in their states, who I'm assuming they know very well. I'm assuming they work with them on issues that deal with the federal government. They should talk to them and say, hey, we need you, Congressman X. We need you, Senator X, in my state to work with Congress, to work with maybe with the senators who are the Republicans and Democrat senators who are doing this process, going through the negotiations. We need you to work with them so that they can so they can deal with the challenges at the border. That's that's an easy ask. That is not difficult. That is something actually easy to do. It does not take much work from them to make those requests and to talk to their congressional members that they probably talk to and speak to about many other issues as it relates to state and federal issues. The same dumbass reporter then says, I understand that, Kareem. I understand you're talking about political process. But what I'm talking about, Kareem, and Kareem cuts him off and says, it's not a political process. But wait. Hold on a second, as he tries to cut her off. It's not a political process for a governor in the state to talk to their congressional members about taking legislative action. It's not politics. It's not. It's just the right thing on behalf of their constituents. Same reporter. This appears to be a concerted effort led by the governor of Texas and joined by Republican governors, encouraged by the Republicans, likely nominee for president, who I know you cannot talk about up there, to flaunt federal authority, to undermine federal authority. And you don't seem to be willing to say the president will uphold the authority of the federal government. Kareem. So I've already answered this question multiple times. And I'm happy to repeat myself to you. Oh, please don't repeat yourself over and over again. This is just, it's a run-on fucking sentence for her. Number one, the president has taken this incredibly serious. When you have a president for the first legislative action to deal with immigration and put forth a comprehensive plan to Congress, because that's the way you're going to actually deal with the issue. 3 years ago, Andrew, and no action has been taken by Congress. When you have a president that's been working with negotiations via obviously his team here with Republicans and Democrats and a Senate to have real conversations to talk about in good faith to talk about comprehensive ways to deal with policy, comprehensive ways to deal with funding, to deal with the immigration system, that's a president that's taking us very seriously. The president had Republican leaders and Democrat leaders here and ranking members of these committees, and that conversation had to deal with Ukraine, but as time came up and the president said it's important for Congress to act. We have been saying this. If you have a Republican governor that is playing political stunts and continues to do that and put actually the border agents in harm's way and preventing them from doing their job, that's a political stunt. We're going to call it out for what it is. Department of Homeland Security has taken action. Department of Justice has taken action. That's a president that's taking it really seriously. I can't speak to the Department of Justice actions, obviously, but these things are being taken very seriously because Border Patrol agents need to get to the area to do their job to enforce the law. So if you think about it, you're asking about our legal authority. The governor is legally getting in the way of the border agents doing their job of enforcing the law. That's the problem. And that's something for him to answer. Guys, I've got to go to a meeting with the president. Have a great day, guys. Happy Friday. And with that, the bird nest hairdo, which is the 8th wonder of the world, exited stage left. Damn, that was hard to get through. I just read to you the person's response that answers for the President of the United States. And her response basically goes hand in hand with everything you hear come out of his mouth when he's babbling on about shit that makes absolutely no damn sense. Now, dear Corrine and Dementia Joe, Democrats and liberals, here are 10 tweets directly from the Border Union on X, formerly Twitter, over the past 5 days, which proves to the American people once and for all that Governor Abbott and the National Guard are not, I repeat, are not getting in the way of the Border Patrol doing their job. The Biden administration and the Democrats in Washington, D.C., and the House and Senate are pathological liars. And all it would take in the White House press briefing is for just one damn reporter to have moral values and beliefs, to stand up and read each tweet out loud when it's their turn to ask a question, to put these idiots in checkmate. From the Border Patrol, tweet number 1. Rank and file Border Patrol agents are not going to start arresting Texas National Guard members for following their lawful orders. That's fake news. Texas National Guard rank and file Border Patrol agents work together and respect each other's jobs, period. If Texas National Guard members have lawful orders, then they have to carry out these orders. Texas National Guard members realize that rank and file Border Patrol agents have their orders as well. Lawful orders, no matter how unpopular or distasteful amongst rank and file agents, must be followed. Unlawful orders, as determined by competent legal counsel and not with some outhouse lawyer behind a keyboard, will not be followed. Tweet number 2. Rank and file Border Patrol agents appreciate and respect what Texas has been doing to defend their state in the midst of this catastrophe that the Biden administration is unleashed on America. We want to be perfectly clear. There is no fight between rank and file Border Patrol agents and the Texas National Guard with Governor Abbott or Texas Department of Public Safety. It may make flashy headlines, but it simply isn't true. Tweet number 3. The entire border immigration catastrophe can be fixed in one simple, fail-proof step that includes many money-saving features for American taxpayers as well. And they put up a picture of Trump next to a picture of Biden. And it said, replace the guy on the left with the guy on the right. Replace Biden with Trump. That's the Border Patrol. Tweet number 4. Instead of suing the state of Texas for trying to protect themselves, Biden administration should immediately call to thank them for their assistance at the border and apologize for falsely accusing them of killing people. Tweet number 5. Border Patrol agents still waiting for an apology as well. Phone lines are open. Tweet number 6. Anything put out by the Biden administration about our border should immediately be considered propagandist crap until such as they actually say something that is true. Tweet number 7. From falsely accusing Border Patrol agents of strapping to blaming Texas for 3 drownings, these people are inconsolable. Tweet number 8. Anytime you see Department of Homeland Security and the Biden administration suddenly becoming pro-border patrol, you should immediately be suspicious of their motives. They are not pro-enforcement, period. But they will use Border Patrol agents as pawns to further their open border agenda when it serves their purpose. They lie. Tweet number 9. Joe Biden zealously protects his open border by bringing the full weight of the federal government down on anyone who dares to try to secure any part of it, no matter how small. Facts don't lie. And tweet number 10, the last tweet by the actual Border Patrol. Don't worry, Americans. Biden's looking out for you. To enhance your safety, security, and well-being, he released another 6,000 illegal aliens into your neighborhoods yesterday. Dependable ID? Health screening and criminal records checks? Nope. Don't worry, because he isn't. So I just read to you, word for word, how that press briefing went when talking about the border between the reporters who are too stupid to follow up questions and say, you're lying. The answers that were given by these babbling idiots, and then the proof that they're lying by reading directly from the tweets coming from the Border Patrol Twitter account. Folks, the Biden administration are liars, pathetic liars when it comes to this border. They try and say it's about immigration issues and a broken immigration problem. The immigration problem and what's happening at the border with the massive amounts of people coming across are two separate things, and both can be fixed by simply enforcing the current laws on the books, period. End of discussion. Stick a fork in it. If they would just enforce the laws that are currently on the books, this problem would go away forever. But that's not what they want to do. And they're only panicking right now because finally the state of Texas said we've had enough. And over 25 governors now across this country have said we've had enough. And they're sending their National Guard down there as well to help Texas. And American patriots all across this country are heading to Texas right now to help stand with Texas on this problem we have with the border that was created by this current administration. Have there been problems with the border for years? You bet your ass there have. But what has happened in the past 3 years under this administration is completely and utterly irresponsible. It is incompetent, and it is of their makings. There is no other way of putting that. Joe Biden calls this problem with the sex trafficking of women and children, with the drugs coming across the border, killing thousands of Americans with fentanyl, with the MS-13 gang members, with the cartel. The cartel basically control our border and bring over whoever the hell they want because the Biden administration has saw to it that the current laws are not enforced. That, my friends, is a prime example of failed leadership. If a leader in the United States military, of any branch, was to be this incompetent, they'd be relieved of duty. And chances are they'd go to Fort Leavenworth. They'd go to prison, especially if people are dying. And speaking of people dying, we just had 3 U.S. service members killed in the past few hours by Iran. And we still have not taken those people out. Instead, the Biden administration is attacking small groups of people sponsored by Iran. The world is on fire right now. This country is on fire right now because of incompetent leadership, period. Everything that the left and the Democrats said Trump would do if he was elected president, get us into World War III, get us in wars with Russia, with North Korea, with Iran, all that shit, none of it came true. Regardless of what you think of the man, we had not only peace in America, but we had peace across the globe. Biden comes in and in 3 years, fucking destroyed all of that. Yet, where's the left? Where's the people that were calling out and saying what Trump was going to do, saying, oh, wait, Biden just did it? It's crickets. We're at a point in American history that will go down in history as one of the worst times this country has ever faced. I, as I told you in the beginning of this program tonight, will be going to the border soon. We have to bring security with us. We have to bring people to operate cameras. We have to pay for transportation. We have to pay for hotel expenses. We have to pay for food. That money will go to just that and only that. So we ask that you please go to douglasducote.com to the donation section, or in any of my videos, you can see where you can donate. Any money not used for that purpose will be donated to veterans organizations, which is something we've always done and something we will continue to do. We do not take a single penny for going down there and reporting, whether it's at the border, whether it's when we go up to Nashville, whether it's we go up to Washington, D.C., all the events that we've covered throughout the past several years. We do it because we want to support the American patriots and show you what's really happening. We're not taking a single penny of that money. It goes to support only, to take care of the people that are involved, because we do not have the money of the massive news media organizations. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share this video with your family and friends, especially if they're a Democrat or a liberal that believe that it's Republicans that are causing the problem on the border. Because this video just proved to them without a shadow of a doubt that the Biden administration, those babbling idiots that can't even answer simple questions without being repeated parrot of what's happening. It's sad. This is the United States of America being run by a bunch of freaking clowns. Literally, circus clowns. Look at all the people in this administration that have been hired, and many of them then terminated because they were bad people that did bad things. They're transsexual freaks. Look at them. And currently, we still have those people in positions in our government. This administration, when they came on board, did not do what previous administrations have done through the years, which is the same thing that most companies that thrive do, which is hire people based on their education and their experience. That's not what this administration did. They hired people based on their skin color and their sexual orientation. And therefore, we have a complete and utter mess in the United States of America. If you have any place you can be tonight, you chose to tune in to this special report with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I hope that I was able to share and shed some real knowledge about what the problem is. That right there, folks, that I read to you tonight sums it all up. They're liars. It's not true. And now they're in panic mode because this is becoming the number one issue for the 2024 presidential election. And they don't know how to get out of this. They're too deep in it. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. And if you do not know what angel families are or blue and gold star families, please look that up because they need our support more now than ever before. Because this administration is literally pissing on the graves of their loved ones. And that, my friends, is unacceptable as well as un-American. Thank you. God bless you. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Take care. I'm out.